Hello, hello, hello. Happy Saturday and welcome to another Big Blue Box live stream. It's good to have you all here. I can see plenty of you in the chat already, which is great. Happy Saturday, happy weekend. Hope you're all keeping well and keeping safe and all that jazz. My name is Gary, as always, from the Big Blue Box podcast. Remember to check out our show on whatever podcast app you get your podcasts on. Listen for free. Follow us on all those apps, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that stuff. Anything else you need is on the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our shows there. And you can also read all the articles and reviews from our writing team, our awesome dudes over there, Maria, Mark and Jordan. So go and check that out. Free Discord server, YouTube channel, the whole thing's on there. Go and check that out. Happy Saturday. Who have we got this morning? I can see we've got the Who Addicts already. Welcome, welcome guys. Morning, morning. My co-host, Mr. Adam. Morning, dude. You're not hanging this morning, no? Good to see you. Morning, morning. Who else have we got? TARDISNet, TN66. Welcome, buddy. Samuel Parsons, good morning. Samuel Parsons, yeah. Switching to the... Yeah. Switching to the Wandering Slitheen channel. Chris Cagle, good morning, Chris. Lewis Blackmore, good morning, Lewis. DW Seb. Seb, do you want me to just call you Seb? Or do you want me to call you DW Seb? Or DW Sebling? Or DW Sebling G? Let me know your preference. Sure. I hope you've all got a brew. Or coffee, whatever. Whatever floats your boat. I'm not going to tell you what to drink. Drink what you want. Glass of water. Whatever. Who else have we got this morning? Cameron Gribbons. Good morning to you. Good morning. Chippy T. Chippy T's with us. Good morning, Chippy T. Chippy T. Such a cool name. Thank you very much for getting in contact on the tweets and everything every week. And anyone else that comments every week. It's great to the regulars that come back and give us our thoughts, or give us your thoughts on the review episodes that we're doing and stuff. It's very cool. Very cool part of the show, that. Thank you very much. You can call me Seb. Just Seb. I thought so. DW Sebling G. I thought Seb would be appropriate and fine. Yep. Morning, Seb. Morning. Chippy T, good morning, everybody from a very sunny Merseyside. Hope you're all well. Merseyside. Me and the family were meant to be up in Liverpool this weekend. We were going to do it. It was going to be our first. We planned it a little while ago. It was meant to be our first sort of post-lockdown trip. We had a hotel booked. We were going to go and spend the day. I had the plan to go and hit up some Forbidden Planet, some other comic book shops. And then the hotel called and said, unless you're here for business, piss off. So that was the end of that plan. So yeah, we're going to do that again. We've rearranged that to that soon. But yeah, Chippy T, we quite like going up to Liverpool. It's cool. It's a cool town, cool city. Yeah. Geeks Handbag. Weren't you out on the lash last night? To the Geeks Handbag. Sorry, to the Who Addicts. I only had a table for 2 hours. Oh, you can't do much. Well, actually, you can. You could get absolutely wasted in 2 hours. Not that I've done that, but I imagine you could, depending on what you're drinking, I suppose. Yeah. Doctor Who Home. Good morning. You'd like that? I'm liking the mug. Do you know what? I always get comments on this mug. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to show it again. I've shown this like a billion times on camera, but it's one of these comic book style mugs, and it's got the different comic book frames and blah blah blah. I hope I don't spill this tea, but I always get comments on this mug every time. I thought it was a real mainstream. They made 1 billion of them and every Doctor Who fan had one, but it turns out not the case. I think I got this at the Doctor Who Experience. I think I got it over in Cardiff when that was open. So I know you can get them on eBay. I've seen them pop up on eBay, even brand new ones every now and then. So go and seek one out. Just go to eBay and do a search for Doctor Who large comic style mug or something like that, and then hit the little save this search, so that every time somebody's selling one, you'll get an email to say, yay, there's that mug that I wanted. Gonna go and get it. Chris K. Girl, could I DM you on the Discord my review, as I don't have Twitter or Facebook? No. Sorry, no. Absolutely not. No. Of course you can, Chris. Get it over. Use whatever you want. Carrier pigeon if you want. It's all good. I hope I'm saying this name correctly. Akibe. Great podcast and you listener. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. It is a lovely mug, that. Yeah, it is. And I'm confused. Can you guys let me know about this mug? It's not an important issue, of course, but I seem to remember there being loads of them everywhere at the time. But every time somebody sees me with it on camera, literally not every single, but most people are like, oh, where'd you get that mug from? I've not seen that one before. I don't want to give you guys too much mug envy, but it's a pretty sweet mug. I think it's just that it's a colourful mug. Most Doctor Who mugs seem very standard, if that makes sense. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Most of them have got the TARDIS on there, or one of the Doctors, or yeah, I read you. Yep. Go and find it. Go and hunt it out. By the time we do the next live stream next weekend, I want you to have found one of these mugs, and it's been delivered from somebody on eBay. Go and do it, Doctor Who Home. Yep. Give Liverpool a few weeks, mate. This week, and particularly last night, has been manic. You would need to be in cyber suits for protection. So has loads of people just been out and about? Because I know we've had that in London to a degree. Not that we're down south much anymore, but just seeing on the news and socials and stuff that London looks pretty busy. It is one splendid mug, and I'm in the mood for tea now. Dudes, why have you not got yourself a cup of tea or coffee yet? That's confusing me. This live stream is literally called Morning Coffee. And you turn up coffeeless or tealess. Doctor Who fans, eh? Anyways, thank you all for voting on the tweets over the last day. And to anyone else that's watching this back afterwards and you voted, but you didn't turn up at the live stream and you got the hump because I didn't thank you personally. Thank you as well. The subject is Series 13. Let's talk about it. I'm due to go to Liverpool soon. Never been before. Yeah, mate, we were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? Pre-recording. It's a cool town, Liverpool. It is a cool town, defo. They've got a really good... The majority of times that me and my family, or me and my wife have gone up there, me and Nat, because my wife's a real hardcore runner. And Liverpool's got a really good running culture. So they do a lot of running events, all sorts of distances and stuff. So pre-COVID, we were up in Liverpool maybe 4 or 5 times a year, maybe. Sort of 3 or 4 times for running events, and then just once or twice for just because it's cool. And because it's got a good mix of stuff. So you've got it's got a cool history. The town's got a cool history about it, and it's got some decent shopping. They've got a decent shopping centre. Chippy Tea is probably just like, yep, we know all this. Yep. But they've got some, and it's quite nice as well, like down by the seafront and all that lot. And of course you've got the whole Beatles thing and the Beatles history and all that jazz. So yes, those of you that have not been to Liverpool, and they do have a Forbidden Planet. And somebody tweeted me as well. Who tweeted me last night and informed me? Tom Turlow tweeted me and said, hey, Big Blue Box PCast. That's our Twitter name, by the way. If you're heading to Liverpool, the best comic shop to visit is Worlds Apart _live on Lime Street. It's much bigger than the Forbidden Planet. Which is interesting, because I thought that, maybe you guys can clue me up on this, maybe Chippy T. The Worlds Apart, that looks to me like it's the same logo style, font and colours and everything as Forbidden Planet International. And Yeah, sounds interesting. So I will check that out as well. I've not been to that one the many times I've been to Liverpool. So I've always just gone to the normal Forbidden Planet, the .com one. So yes. Yeah. Anyway, Martin Arnold, good morning, dude. Martin, apologies, dude. I couldn't get your audio review in this week. We'd already recorded. It was edited and published and everything, dude. So very sorry, mate. But I did listen to your review though, so entertaining as always. But I'm sorry I couldn't get it into the show. But welcome. Good morning. Right, let's talk Series 13. I've had a bit of a read through, and I've tried to come up with as much stuff as possible. And to kick off then, the crux of Series 13, according to the Chibinator, is going to be the previous stuff that was all wrapped up in Ascension of the Cybermen / the Timeless Children. Apparently, that's going to lay the groundwork for pretty much all of Series 13, apparently. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that confused me. That confused me a lot, because when we had the festive special a few months back, they hardly touched on that at all. Like, we had one little scene. Morning, Tom. Sorry, Tom Shaw. Spoilers or no spoilers? What are you referring to, Tom? Are you referring to potential spoilers as we're talking about Series 13, or spoilers for something else? Let me know. And so that confused me, because we had one little scene where the Doctor and Jack are sat down and they're just having a chin wag and stuff, and she kind of references it a little bit. She talks about the events and how it's knocked her a little bit, and she has to sort of rediscover her life, and that sort of thing. And that was it. There was no, and I'm pretty sure that Adam and I spoke about this when we did our review of it. There was no big continuing revelations about it. The Doctor she just seems to be back on form, doing her normal Jodie Whittaker Doctor stuff, and just not really bothered about it, to be honest with you. And so I'm confused by that. According to Chibnall, Series 13, the groundwork has already been laid for most of the storylines based on that Timeless Children stuff. Who knows? I don't know. The other thing that we know is so this was back at the end of last year. Mandip Gill, she was on a live stream for Comic-Con, and she said that in Series 13 they would also dive into Yas's past, and deal with some mental health issues. And I think that was pretty much a given, that we would dive into Yaz's character a lot more, now that we don't have the other two. So I'm not sure when John Bishop's character is going to turn up in the series, if he's going to be at the beginning or partway through, I'm not sure. But without Graham and Ryan, that gives the writers a lot more time to dive into not just the Doctor, but Yaz's character as well. So I think that was a given. I wasn't aware that we were going to dive into her past and mental health issues, but it was a given that we were going to find out some more stuff about Yaz. Then in December, again, Mandip Gill, interview with the Radio Times. She said that she just wasn't ready to leave the TARDIS. She said she fully appreciated that Bradley Walsh and Tosin Cole, they were ready to do the off. She could understand why and their reasons for going, etc. But apparently she was like, no, there's much more to explore with Yaz's character, which kind of feeds into what I was saying about they're going to explore her a lot more. So that's a given. And then so these are just the headlines about Series 13, basically. But then we had, at the end of January, or midway through January, that John Bishop was officially announced as a new companion. His character name's Dan. Dan! Bit of Alan Partridge. Dan! So, yeah, we don't know too much about it right then. As you guys all know, Chibbers is really tight-lipped about everything until it leaks and he gets really pissed off. But which is really funny. But he's really tight-lipped, isn't he? And yeah, so we'll see what happens. But those are the headlines, and we'll dive into some more details. We'll see what you guys want to chat about in a sec. But that's the top line. GPT. Right, back to Liverpool. Right, general mix of shops. Best to Google it. All now due to COVID, closing shops down, blah, blah, blah. It's all sad, yeah. Still, you'll love your locations as per usual. Yeah, cool. AKB, Murray Gold, the GOAT, greatest of all time, yeah. Murray Gold. So, yeah. It's an interesting one, the whole music thing, isn't it? The soundtrack, because we're huge fans of Murray Gold's work. Anyone that's listening to the podcast for any length of time will, and especially when we review any of RTD and Moffat stuff, you'll know that we gush over Murray's stuff most of the time. There's a few times where he's a little bit sort of in your face and it's a bit overbearing and stuff, but he's come up with some absolutely amazing themes for certain characters and moments within stories and stuff. He's brilliant. So it's a real big contrast, isn't it, to Sagan stuff. And somebody said here about Sagan, who was it? Lewis, I'll come back to your comment in a second, dude. Akiba, yeah, I can't wait for Sagan's meditation music putting me to sleep. Well, that's what I was going to say. It's sometimes his music is very atmospheric, whereas Murray Gold stuff was quite bombastic and when it was mixed properly, in your face, but in a good way, and some beautiful themes, like I said. Whereas Sagan's music is more, it's other than the Doctor's theme and a couple of other little bits here and there over the last couple of series, it's mainly been atmospheric stuff, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but the only problem with that is that I can imagine that if people are still buying CDs or vinyl editions or whatever, I can imagine that soundtrack sales might dip a little bit, purely because you can't really remember what Sagan's music sounds like. Like if I said to you guys now, in your head, without going on YouTube, think what the music was to the Nikola Tesla story. Think about that story and then think what the music was like from that story. I bet you, well, I'm 99% sure you won't be able to remember what the music was like to that song, to that episode. However, if you go back to something like Rose, the episode Rose, or something like Stolen Earth, that kind of thing, you could just reel off so many episodes from the RTD and Moffat era. You could probably remember what the music was. You could remember the theme. You could, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'd love. I don't want to trash Sagan at all. He's such a great composer, and the actual quality of the music is amazing. It's really, really good. It is amazing, but it just doesn't. I don't know. It feels like it's a typical soundtrack to a generic sci-fi movie. But there we go. So, Akibi, yes. Yeah. You might put us to sleep, that. Right, I'm just going to catch up on the chat. Lewis Blackmore, right. Just really want Joe Martin's Fugitive Doctor to come back in Series 13. Yeah, I think that's a common one, dude. I think a lot of people are wanting the Fugitive Doctor. Joe Martin. She really struck a chord. And I think with Series 13, I think there is an opportunity to bring her back, because if they really want to explore that timeless child stuff and dive back into that whole thing, then there's definitely a way to do that. It doesn't feel like it at the moment, from what anyone involved with the show, even though it's a bit tight-lipped, nobody has hinted at that at all. But there was an interview that Joe Martin did quite recently, 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, where she said she was super keen to come back. She really wanted to bring that character back and do all that stuff. So from her point of view, she'd probably jump at the chance, but there's been no inkling. But we probably wouldn't know anyway, unless there was a huge leak. And that would piss Chibbers off, and that would be hilariously funny. TARDISnet, I don't mind the Timeless Child not being a central plotline in Revolution. What bothered me was the events of the Timeless Children seemed to barely impact. Yeah, that's what I was saying. We only had that one little scene, didn't we, with her and Jack? And then after that, she just seemed to brush it off and back to normal. So it would be weird to have the end of the run for the Timeless Children, and then we have the festive special where we had that little spike of interest about it, and then we come back to nothing. So it feels like the momentum isn't there to carry that storyline through at the moment, but who knows? Who knows what they're going to do with that? So, yeah. Do you think the fans would like Chibnall if he retcons Timeless Child? Says my co-host Adam. Do you think the fans would like Chibnall? Well, Doctor Who fans are extremely fickle anyway, aren't they, Ad? So I don't think it matters what he does. I think they change their opinion on him so quickly anyway, it doesn't matter. But I think if he starts to retcon stuff, then I think he would get more, purely because the Timeless Child stuff just hasn't resonated well enough with the majority of Who fans like they were hoping it would, I don't think. So yeah, I would say that if he did that, then yes, people's appreciation of Chibbers would increase a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Would that be a good thing, guys? Start retconning that stuff? Probably would be. Yeah. Let's have a looky. Doctor Who Home. No matter what Chibs does, people won't be happy. Yes, there you go. There you go. Chris Cagill, I don't know. He might make it even worse. Yeah. Tom Shaw, I guess most of us know which monsters are coming back anyway. Do we? Is it Cybermen? I know that they're giving Daleks a rest now. Is it Cybermen? Right, let me look at some other articles, actually, in between chats, to see if we can find anything. This is over on Wiki. So according to producer Tracy Simpson, pre-production on Series 13 was meant to start in June last year, with filming originally set for September last year, but filming was eventually commenced in November and is set to run for 10 months. So that takes us up to was it September this year, is it? The production period will yield 8 episodes, reduced from the previous 11 due to the pandemic. And then broadcast-wise, the series is set to premiere in 2021. We still don't know the date for that. In May 2017, what's this about? In May 2017, it was announced that due to the terms of a deal between BBC Worldwide and SMG Pictures in China, the company has first right of refusal on the purchase for the Chinese market of future series of the programme until and including Series 15. In October 2019, a deal was made between HBO Max and BBC for an additional 2 series of Doctor Who, including the 13th and 14th series. So when you read that, that says to me that, yeah, they're not putting Doctor Who on a rest or a hiatus anytime soon. It's not a guarantee, obviously. It's just saying that this company in China, SMG Pictures, they will be offered the series first before any other Chinese broadcaster, up until Series 15. That doesn't mean they're going to make Series 14 and 15. They probably will, obviously. The Doctor Who, the BBC, they love wasting money, so they probably will. But anyway, we'll come back to some articles in a minute. So that was very, very news desky, wasn't it? In May 2017, it was announced that the Doctor... Yeah, so sorry about that. But there's some key facts, I guess, about Series 13, right? What you guys saying? Where do we get up to? TARDISnet. I think Yaz could be a really good character, but they just keep overstuffing the scripts. So not any characters or plot lines get the chance to breathe. Exactly, TN. So I think that's going to be mitigated a little bit with not having as many companions in the next series. I'm pretty sure that with just the Doctor and Yaz, this is until Dan shows up, of course, but just having the Doctor and Yaz, that provides a lot more breathing room to focus on those two. which they should have done from. Oh, do we want to trash Chibbers in this stream? Do we want to do that? All right, quick little mini one. We shouldn't have had 3 companions in the first place. It should only have been 2. There we go. Right. TARDISnet, I think Yaz could... Yeah. Chippy T, Yaz is past. We don't get to explore Graham's cancer and emotions, but maybe this? Well, this all... It all leads back to just not having enough time to do it all. When you have a busy TARDIS team, when you have more than 2 companions, you immediately limit the time that you can do anything with those characters. So things like backstory, going back and looking at those important moments in the character's life and their backstory, like Graham's previous cancer and all that stuff. Yes, it would be nice to visit that and progress the character, because the more that you connect with the character by those, obviously, the real world side of things, like illnesses and stuff like that, then it makes the payoff later on much better. And that was what Russell was so good at. So all through Russell's era, anytime that we had character stuff, and that was his mastery, that was his craft for writing characters and their progression, and they're just so relatable. And you just connect with them a lot more, so that when you do have things like companions leaving or companions dying or things like that, it makes that payoff a lot better. But when you can't do that, when you've got too many companions and you're limited on time, you think about an episode of Doctor Who, let's say roughly 45 minutes long. If you had 2 companions, if you had, one companion and the Doctor, like we're going to have for however long in Series 13, before Dan shows up, you've got, alongside the other story bits, you've got equal weighting for those 2 characters. You've got 50% each of their dedicated time to tell some extra story, which I think is really needed if the Doctor wants to dive back and start looking into this Timeless Child stuff. We absolutely need that extra time. And then we've got the bits with Yaz and some backstory and the mental health stuff. When you add another 2 companions in the mix, like we've done the last couple of series, then you only get 25% time. It's simple maths, right? I'm not saying anything revolutionary here, but from a writing point of view, that's all you've got to work with. There have been times where they've dedicated more time to a companion, but then what happens is you end up with episodes like Me and Adam, where it's like Graham just looks like he's asleep in the background the whole time. So then the writers get trashed because Graham just looks bored throughout the whole episode, or Ryan didn't do anything. Again, he's just got his hands in his pockets, doesn't engage, doesn't do anything, doesn't add anything to the story. So you can do it, but then you get criticised for not having enough time to dedicate to the other companions, and then Who fandom kicks off, and then we're in not a good place. So I think with having just Yaz and the Doctor together, that'd be a good thing. Yes. Akabi, if he wrote the same as he did in Broadchurch, then maybe not his goofy stuff. Yes, that's true. That is true. Broadchurch season 1 was very good. Really, really good. Can see what the Chibbers was doing there. But where it concerns Doctor Who, I don't know, he just can't seem to write a cracking episode of Doctor Who. Like Broadchurch had you clinging onto the edge of your sofa, going absolutely berserk when he got to the end, because you wanted to find out what was going to happen, what was going to happen next. You didn't want to wait another week for another episode. You really wanted to get into it. And the characters were a good mix of, like they were real grounded characters. Like David Tennant's character was just this grumpy police detective. And then his partner, what's her name? You know her name. She was really good as well. And they all had their own family problems going on. And then you had the underlying sinister whodunit stuff. So that was really good. And he just wrote some really good... that was almost like his RTD moment. He had this just flash of brilliance when he was writing it, and these relatable characters and stuff. However, he just can't seem to translate that over to Doctor Who. I can't see... It's like he can't join the dots. It's like, okay, I know how to write characters and a good story because I've done it, and I've proven to the world that I've done it. go and watch Broadchurch. There you go. Let's go and look at Doctor Who. Chibbers, something's not clicking right, dude. Something's not happening. We've got a very small percentage of Who fans that like your work, but it seems like the overall consensus is people are just not feeling it. What's going on? I don't know. It's like a disconnect. He got told off by the BBC for revealing his character is from Liverpool FFS. What was that then, geeks? Who got told off? Who got told off? This will be interesting. Victor Gamboa, that's a cool name. Morning, Victor. Good morning from the States. Just want to say hi. I love the podcast. So thank you very much. Sorry I'm a bit delayed with the chat. There's you guys are ahead of me a little bit, but yeah. Good morning, Victor. Welcome. From the States, no less. Cool. Who got told off then for saying that character was from Liverpool? That doesn't make sense. John Bishop is a Liverpudlian. He's a Scouser. So why would he or anyone else be told off? Unless you're talking about a different character. Sammy Satine. Morning, Sammy from Down Under. Nice pink t-shirt. Thank you very much. I've been watching The Keeper of Traken. Nice having it on Blu-ray. Yeah, it is. It is nice. Doctor Who Home. He didn't say anything crazy, but I remember a few details about an episode. Okay, you guys are chatting between yourselves. I'll catch up. TARDIS Net. If he retconned, it will be the rise of Skywalker all over again. Exactly. That's exactly it. That's what I was saying. Even if he does that, there's going to be Who fans that don't like it. So he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. It's just nuts. Personally, I would just leave it alone because the fallout from a lot of Star Wars fans from Rise was a lot worse than the actual reviews of the movie itself. The whole retcon thing from The Last Jedi was just, yeah, it was a weird thing to watch. So, yeah, Chibbers, if he's feeling like, oh, okay, the Who fandom is not feeling it, I'm going to retcon, then I think that would be worse. Just leave it. You've already, what's the word? You've already made your bed. Go and lie in it. Go on. Martin Arnold, I don't like these meta plot elements left hanging. It's just exhausting. Yeah, it is a bit mentally exhausting, isn't it, Martin? It's, yeah. It's almost like they need to leave things hanging around in case they need to clutch it back into a script at some point. But it is exhausting, I read you. Chris Kager, all I know confirmed is Sontarans and Weeping Angels. Oh, okay. I didn't realise the Angels were back. My wife will love that one. She's a scaredy cat. Yeah, she's a scaredy cat. She hates the Weeping Angels. She literally does that thing where she puts a cushion in front of her face. Akibi, apparently Danny Pink is coming back to inject a bit of energy to the... Danny Pink's coming back to inject some energy, is he? All right. Tom Shaw, was there a hint of Autons on a bus sign? In the trailer? I don't know. DW Boy 14, good morning. What do you think of that new Monsters? What do you think about that new Monsters? What are you talking about? New Monsters? Do you mean just new monsters in general that we've seen so far in series 11 and 12? Or something specific? Let me know. The Doctor Who Show. Hello, Rob. Good morning. Joe Turner. Did you see John Bishop on the Graham Norton show last night? Not too much about Doctor Who. A little disappointed. Yeah, I didn't watch it, but I saw a few tweets about it. Where basically he was on good form as usual. He's a fairly chill guy, John Bishop. Really, obviously funny. That's his job. But yeah, apparently no details about Doctor Who. Hardly anything. So yeah, it wasn't worth the... Well, it was worth the watch if you're a John Bishop fan or a Graham Norton fan. But nothing about Doctor Who. Good morning, Maria. One of our writers is here, Maria. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's beautiful out there, but cold. Yeah, the sun's out. I've got my blinds down, but it is sunny. Sam Parsons, good morning. Honestly, I think they should retcon the Timeless Child. As dumb as it would be, I'm afraid nothing else would suffice. The Timeless Child itself is a great idea, but making it the Doctor is just awful. That's interesting, Sam, because there is some... I have heard that there is some chat around potentially the Master being the Timeless Child. That would be interesting. As in the Master's done such a great job of convincing the Doctor that it's her, when in actual fact it's just one of his big, excuse the pun, master plans. So that could be a thing. That could be a thing. And every time they discuss an important character moment, they completely stop the story, like Ryan and 13's chat in Revolution. Yeah, exactly. Doctor Who Home, exactly that. It's just these little things that just left lying around, and you would think they would be quite important and stuff, but yeah. Correct, Sam. The Doctor works best as just some person who got bored and ran away, not a messiah at the heart of Time Lord's civilization who gave them regeneration. Super Hollywood idea. Yeah, Rob, that's I agree with you on that one, 100%. Although the Doctor is a special, they are a special person within Time Lord in their particular era. What's the best way to say this? The Doctor is special because they obviously, a whole show wouldn't be focused around the Doctor if that wasn't the case. But I don't think that they're up there with, yeah, like you were saying, like this, the bringer of regeneration and the bringer of life and all that sort of stuff. It is a bit Hollywood. It's a bit, yeah. Like you could imagine that if some movie studio in Hollywood said, right, we want to buy, let's say if BBC had just canned Doctor Who, but then they want to bring it back, and some movie studio said, we want to buy the rights to Doctor Who to make a new film. That's probably something, that's a good example of a plot point that they would probably explore, because they'd want to make this big epic statement about the Doctor and the show and everything. It would probably, it would be that kind of Hollywood thing. Good point. Sam Parsons, it's weird that with Chibnall's characters, if you look at Broadchurch, each character is brilliantly fleshed out and three-dimensional, but genuinely, I don't think he's created a single good new character, except maybe the Dawan Master. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. In Broadchurch, he seemed to have got a good groove with the characters. He just seemed to have nailed exactly what that whole little mini bubble of stuff was about in that little location. So if you think about it, Doctor Who has got endless possibilities of where to go and when to go, obviously, whereas Broadchurch was contained to that little seaside town with a small group of characters, yet he managed to really make them relatable and 3D, like you were saying, Sam. But then, yeah, with the exception of his version of the Master, I don't know, just things seem a bit... It really is one of the most difficult things to review and talk about the Chibnall era, because along with the obvious things that I'm not a fan of or I like about it, or fandom in general, it's really difficult to put your finger on something that just doesn't feel right about it. It's so bizarre. It's really weird. Like, you can generalize things. You can say, oh, it just wasn't well written, or it just never seemed to get into its top gear and just stayed at 80% and that kind of thing. You can use those kind of statements, but there still doesn't seem to be... I literally cannot put my finger on why Jodie and Chibnall's era of Doctor Who just doesn't feel... I don't know. That's a whole nother subject to talk about anyway. Martin Arnold, 3 companions might work in the serialized format like Classic Who, but not in 45-minute story. Yeah, bang on, Martin. Exactly, yeah. So back in the day, in Davison's era, when you had Tegan and Nyssa and Adric, and that was considered a busy TARDIS team like we've had in the last 2 series. But yeah, you're right. We had, those were like 4-parters. I think there was a couple of 2-parters, but mainly 4-parters. So you've got more time. It all comes down to, again, excuse the pun, it all comes down to time. Yes. TARDISNet, it's not just the characters though. Spyfall, Orphan 55, Fugitive of the Jadoon, Timeless Children, Revolution have way too many plot lines and themes to successfully do anything. Yeah, you could be right. Although I think Fugitive of the Jadoon Timeless Children, Revolution, then absolutely I agree. Orphan 55 though, yeah, and Spyfall, they weren't too bad. Spyfall and Orphan 55, they weren't too bad. They weren't too complex and try and do too much on the surface anyway. But the other ones, yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, what's Geek saying? Graham was wasted in Series 12. They put him in the background probably because he was outshining the Doctor. Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, that's what we were saying. On a lot of episodes, it's just either Graham or Ryan just in the background, just mulling around, not really doing much. How about Yaz wasn't in season 11? Demons of the Punjab was pushed to series 12. Yaz joins in Resolution. Ryan dies in Resolution. Graham dies in Timeless Children. How about Yaz wasn't in series? I mean, yeah. You mean staggered it. So we had Ryan and Graham in series 11. She doesn't join until series 12. And then at the end, Ryan and Graham die towards the end. And then it's okay. Yeah, that could have worked. Yeah. Chippy T agreeing entirely about the two characters. Yeah, two characters. Yeah. Akibi, Bradley Walsh was decent in Sarah Jane as a clown, but all he got was, "You okay, Doc?" Yeah, well, it's hard to argue, man. It's hard to argue against that. When you think back to series 12 and 11, pretty much, it's really difficult. And that goes back to what I was saying about it's difficult to put my finger on what I feel just didn't work or doesn't work. And yeah, other than the opening episode with Graham being upset, obviously losing his wife and all that stuff, we had the character progression very slowly between him and Ryan, which was, we saw that coming a mile off. But then the other stuff that you remember about Graham is just, yeah, are you right, Doc? Yeah, so it's hard to argue, man. Martin Arnold, I think they need to go back to basics. Doctor Who plus a companion having a simple fun adventure once a week. In future past, Slitheen. Yeah. We do need more of that. We definitely need more of that. Yeah. Sam Parsons, it's such a shame that I keep bashing Chibbers. Seems like a top bloke. Unfortunately, it's just what I think. Do you know what, Sam? Don't worry, man. We're all in the same boat with that. Nothing against Chris Chibnall personally. And I know that Chibbers, you're watching this morning, and it is nothing against you personally at all. Nothing at all. It's literally just the quality of the writing and your views as a showrunner about Doctor Who. So don't worry, Sam. We're not bashing him personally. It's just the yeah. Sorry, Chris. We're not bashing you personally. It's just your views and your decisions on characters and story and stuff. Joe Turner. John Bishop was on the Graham Norton show, and apparently after he said his character was from Liverpool on a Zoom call, he was phoned by the BBC to tell him off, even though... What? Guys, is this real? Is this a serious thing? How do we know this is legit? How do we know that John Bishop was called by the BBC? That doesn't make sense. Yeah. Just going to move my mat forward. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Why would the BBC call John Bishop to tell him off about him being a Scouser from Liverpool, about him telling people that his character is from Liverpool when he is that doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? Unless it's a huge plot point that there is a planet somewhere with an alien with a Scouse accent. Unless that's the case, that doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous. Where's that come from, guys? Is that legit? Adam, we were talking about John Bishop. He said on Graham Norton that he got a bollocking from the BBC because he let slip his character was... What? So John Bishop is saying himself that he got a phone call from the BBC saying that he got told off for telling people that his character was going to be from... Guys, I'm confused. Can somebody rationalise this for me? Because I'm getting confused. That doesn't make any sense, though. I'm confused, man. Why would they? I don't know. Doctor Who Home, like I said, think he said a bit more than just that he was playing it up. Oh, hold on. Like I said, I think he said a bit more than that and was playing it up, that he got told off just because he said it was from Liverpool for laughs. That sounds to me like the sort of thing that he would say in a sarcastic way to get a laugh, just because it's so obvious. Like, he is, anyone that's watching this now and you're not from the UK and or you don't know who John Bishop is. John Bishop is a comedian from the northwest of the UK and from a town called Liverpool or somewhere around there. And he has a very thick Liverpudlian accent. So I think he's just playing it up. I think he's just being sarcastic that because he's got a thick Liverpudlian accent, that he then says the BBC told him off because they said his character was from Liverpool. It's too obvious. I don't think that's a genuine thing. I don't think that's legit. I think he's just playing that for laughs. Maria agrees with Sam. Yep, agree. Retcon the Timeless Child. It ruined watching Classic Who. Yeah, it did a little bit. Yeah, there's been a few times actually when Ad and I have reviewed some Classic Who stuff shortly after the Timeless Child stuff. And it was a real downtrodden moment because it was like, oh, cool. There's this other character. I think it was, some other characters that insinuated that they were, in the Doctor's past or, something to do with the Doctor's past. And Adam and I were just like, well, it doesn't matter now, does it? It doesn't fricking matter. Just erase everything, So it does, yeah. It has. I wouldn't say it's ruined watching Classic Who because you can sensibly put it to the back of your mind if you need to. But yeah, it definitely has those moments where you're like, well, that doesn't really matter now. Yeah. Martin Arnold, Sonsa Ha. Exactly. Bring back the potatoes. Yeah, that'd be good to see them again. TARDISnet, I think the returning villains are one of the things Chibnall has done very well. The Daleks are the best they've been in a long time, and I love the Sacha Dhawan Master. Agree on the Master. I do agree on the Master, dude, but I'm still in two minds about the Daleks. I've still got Dalek fatigue. Even Big Finish, their run of recent stuff is still a lot of Dalek-focused stories and stuff, so... Yes, I agree on the Master though. That was a good one. Good casting, like bang on casting for that. Chippy T, whenever Star Trek needed to explore Picard's backstory, it was almost always away from any of the main characters. Outside characters helped to explain this without the Doctor then explaining it to the fam. Yes. I haven't watched a lot of The Next Generation. I'm not really a Trekkie. We don't hock Trek in this Star Wars house. However, over the last few months, I have watched the odd episode. And yeah, that's not a bad example because in some of the ones that I've watched anyway, when they have gone and like when they've done Riker, some stuff around Riker and Data and what's his name? The big Klingon dude. Is it Worf? Can't remember. When they've done some backstory things around those, you don't see the entire cast, and especially Picard stuff. You don't see the entire cast. It's just not needed. So yeah, I agree. I have a pen, like I'm taking notes. I'm not taking notes. I'm going to put it down because I'm just fiddling with it. There we go. Sam Parsons, I don't think the Timeless Child should be the Master either. I'm not saying it should be. I'm just saying that there was a rumor that was doing the rounds that it could be the Master, and it just feeds into his bigger plan to screw over the Doctor. Joe Turner, do you think that Chibnall has seen the reaction to Timeless Child and think, bollocks, what have I done? Or do you think he stands by his decision? Chibber strikes me as a sort of guy that stands by his decisions. He strikes me as that character, that type of character. So I would say that no, he's not worrying about what fans think. think he's one of these people that are just like, I'm making the Doctor Who that I want to make. You're either along with me on the journey or you're not. Yeah. And there is more discussion to be had on that. And it goes back to the subject of, do you take on board what the fans are saying? Do you take on board their thoughts and the general consensus of what fandom feels about something? And do you tweak your content based on that? Or do you just think, nope, this is exactly how I vision Doctor Who to be. I'm going to make it the way I want to make it. If people don't like it, they don't like it. Simple as that. And there's been a few variations of that for years now. And I guess it comes down to whether you feel like what you're doing, if you genuinely 100% passionately believe that what you're telling is, in your opinion, the best Doctor Who that there's ever been, then if you've got the trust and the backing of the execs at the BBC behind you, then you just keep going. You just and keep going and hope that people just, the penny drops for a lot of people and they start to get into it. But I don't know, man. But I don't think that he's worried about it. I don't think he's thinking, oh my God, fandom is going berserk. What have I done? I don't think. I think he's more like, Chris, I know you're watching. Jump in the chat. Let us know. Sam Parsons, this is your pitch, is it? For the Timeless Child. The Time Lords tortured a random child to live longer. Horrific. Therefore, the Doctor realises that every time she's ever regenerated, she's been exploiting a child to live longer. Then she overruns Gallifrey, becomes president and runs off. Making it the Master, Doctor, Rassilon, Omega, etc. doesn't interest me. This is the same problem with modern Big Finish. They feel the need to cram in characters. That's a bit of a dark... That's a bit of a dark pitch, story idea, Sam. Exploiting a child to live. Yeah, that's a bit dark. It's not terrible, but yeah, that goes a bit dark. Yeah. Yeah. Don't know what to think about that. Maybe. Doctor Who Home, the Master being the Timeless Child makes so much more sense. He's always been different, plus it would explain why he burnt Gallifrey down in rage. Indeedy. That would explain a lot of things. Yeah. Martin Arnold, Chibnall isn't telling sci-fi style stories, they are just stories. Correct. The Who Addicts. You guys are still here. Hello. Think anyone can outshine Jodie to me. Chibnall always ends up having a side cast of about 50 people who all feel pointless rather than one or two who have been properly developed. Same with the companions. All feels hollow and a bit pointless. Is that Matt or Liv? Don't know. It's a good point, though. It's a common thing, man. It's a common thing within fandom. Just complaining about the characters and not being fleshed out enough and all that stuff. Yeah, I read you. Martin, I think Jodie was really good in season 12, but on the whole, the show is coming off the boil. Yes, it is. We don't need to talk about that much longer. Lewis Blackmore, agree with that. Who Addicts, too many characters and not enough story. Yep. Right, I'm going to come back to the chat. More stuff that we've uncovered about Series 13. This is from Digital Spy. So aside from Chris Eccleston, every Doctor in the modern era has stuck around for 3 seasons. And we have confirmation that Jodie Whittaker will do the same. This was updated back on the 14th, that's a few days ago. Speaking to Entertainment Weekly, she said, I'm doing another season. That might be a massive exclusive that I'm not supposed to say, but it's unhelpful for me to say I don't know because it would be a massive lie. At some point, these shoes are going to be handed on, but it's not yet. I'm clinging on tight. So that's Jodie. We know that she's, well, we kind of know that she's going, but we don't officially know that she's going. 2 of her companion trio, Graham and Ryan, are no more. We know about that. Yaz, played by Manny Gibb, will be back. And we have a new face to be excited about. Yep, John Bishop. We know about all that stuff. And then we've got the quote, if I could tell my younger self that one day I would be asked to step on board the TARDIS, I would never have believed it. It's an absolute dream come true to be joining Doctor Who. And I couldn't wish for a better company than Jodie and Mandip. So That's John Bishop. And then Chibnall added, it's time for the next chapter of Doctor Who, and it starts with a man called Dan. Dan! Oh, we've had to keep this one secret for a long, long time. Our conversation started with John even before the pandemic hit. The character of Dan was built for him, and it's a joy to have him aboard the TARDIS. And then John Bishop goes on to say, I met showrunner Chris Chibnall, and he had this idea and this character. He'd seen me in a few things, and he wanted to know if I'd be interested in Doctor Who. I was flattered, but the problem was I was on tour when they were meant to be filming, so although I fancied it, I had to say no. Then the whole COVID thing happened, lockdown arrived, so I made a phone call, and fortunately they moved their filming dates, blah, blah, blah. That's all stuff we know, right? So Doctor Who Season 13, when will it air? Not for a long old while yet. In early December, the BBC confirmed it will be a 10-month production block, with the number of episodes being cut from 11 to 8 due to restrictions imposed by the pandemic. Chris Chibnall then just says, we are filming. That's it. I don't think anyone on any production team right now would claim the new process is easy. Making any television drama has, in one fell swoop, become more demanding than it's ever been. Then we go on to Digital Spy talking about what the plot will happen is. Right now, there's no available information. Excellent. Thank you very much for that detailed breakdown. And then some of these other articles, I think the ones that I've managed to uncover, they're all very similar. It's all around Yaz's backstory, John Bishop, and is Jodie leaving? So, not much to say in terms of like deep dive details for Series 13. However, I'm trying to get my head around what the vibe's going to be with a male solo companion, because sometimes Ryan and Graham, they were a good tag team when they didn't have that kind of weird atmosphere between them, where it's Graham wanting to call him son, all that stuff, and their bit of character building. When you didn't have that simmering away, those two, they tended to stick together a lot, and they were a bit of a tag team. And then it felt like you had Yaz sort of on her own over here, excuse me, doing her thing. Excuse me. You had Yaz doing her thing, blah, blah. So I think the dynamic will be good between having a solo male companion in Dan and Yaz together. So I'm wondering what the vibe's going to be. I'm hoping that the Doctor is going to be front and centre, first and foremost, because she hasn't been for quite a decent chunk of Series 11 and 12. And then the companions, we dive into their story, of course. Now that we've got more time, there's only 2 of them. But it's the Doctor leading the charge. It's the Doctor putting her foot down, saying, right, we're going here, or we're doing this. This is the plan. And it's not just, well, I don't know. What was going to happen? I don't know. I just don't know. Just get rid of all that stupidness. Get rid of all that. Have her take charge. Just tell her to, if you were Chris Chibnall, you'd say, look, Jodie, go and buy these DVDs, or go and subscribe to BritBox. Free trial. Don't have to pay for it. Go and watch at least one episode from every Doctor. I can give you some recommendations. Otherwise, just go and pick one and look at what they do well the most. Pick out a character trait from each Doctor, and then think about how you want to pinch tiny little nuggets of that, because essentially you're playing them. You, as the Doctor, that's your character. Although with every regeneration we have a new personality and a new, for all intents and purposes, a new persona, I guess, of that character. But essentially, that is you in previous incarnations. But that doesn't mean that they are isolated from what you are. So I would say to Jodie, right, take the weekend, boot your husband out and the kids, get some DVDs or BritBox on the go, get comfy, and watch one serial from each classic Doctor, and watch a couple of eps of Eccleston, Tennant and Smith, Capaldi, and get a pen and paper and note down the things that you love about those Doctors. Then think about, because at the moment her Doctor's a bit like she doesn't have a thing, if that makes sense. Jodie's doctor doesn't seem to have a thing, and that was what happened, in my opinion, to Peter Capaldi after his first series. They started to write him all over the place, and he was really inconsistent, and he ended up just not having a thing. They tried different things with him, like try and be like Hartnell, try and have that old grouchy man feel. Okay, that kind of works. Now try and have this humorous, funny feel. Try and be a bit Troughton-y, a bit Matt Smithy. Okay, that kind of works as well, but not really working. But just be yourself. Just do whatever you feel. Oh yeah, that's working, cool, but we need a bit more of that. Do you know what I mean? It was very inconsistent. Whereas I feel that previous doctors, they definitely had their own thing, instantly recognisable, their own traits and their own thing. And I don't think Jodie's got that. So that's what I would do. I would tell Jodie to go, and she might have done this already, who knows? But I would say, just go and do some homework. Go and find out all the things that you like about those previous doctors, and like pinch a tiny little bit from each one, mold it into like your own thing, and then that's your doctor. And we'll try that and see how it goes. But yeah. Back to the chat. Doctor Who Home, if Revolution was 2 parts, it could have been brilliant. Part 1 cliffhanger as the Daleks kill the PM, then let part 2 focus on their invasion. Okay. Yeah. Just because the Daleks wrapped up in 10 minutes. Yeah, I read you. Yeah. Sam Parsons, I think the underlying problem in Chibnall era are these hollow characters and focusing more on themes before writing interesting sci-fi. Yeah, probably right. I'd say the Moff is sat on the forums and Twitter laughing with a glass of wine over what is happening to Chibs now. The pressure is off of him, of course. Yep. Definitely, man. The Moff is just... Yeah. The Moff's probably doing what we're doing now with his friends. He's probably chatting to his friends, talking about Doctor Who, all of its shortcomings and what Chibs should be doing and all that stuff. He's probably doing what we're doing right now, just in private. Yeah. And I know the Moff watches as well, so don't lie, Moff. Mothball, I know you're doing it. Joe Turner, there is a video on BBC's Twitter, I think, and BBC America from explaining it. It's about a minute video. Are you talking about the John Bishop thing? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying that the BBC told him off for real. Not buying it. Maria, you agree with the 3 Earth characters plus the Doctor left too little time to A, give them things to do, and second, develop. Yeah. It's a shame, Maria. Who addicts? Matt or Liv? Don't know. What annoys me about The Timeless Child is there's 1,000 better alternatives that could have opened up so many better stories. It could have been the Master, could have introduced a new Time Lord, etc. Yes, Who addicts? Yes. Geeks, I think we're going to have to re-review Timeless Child, Gary. Our opinion has changed so much. People are raving about Dalek Universe, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. Yes, we might revisit that, dude. When we finish the podcast in a couple of years, we'll pick a bunch of stories that we want to go back and redo because our opinions changed, like big ones like that one. Doctor Who Home, I listened to your review over Christmas and I had already noticed compared to later reviews, your opinions were different when first chatting about it. Yes, that happens a lot. When the next showrunner comes along, they can erase it. I wouldn't lose too much sleep over it just yet. Prime example is the Time War conclusion being retconned. Yeah, that's a similar thing. It's not exactly the same though. This feels like a much more definite change, a much more line in the sand. Rob Koenig, good morning, Rob. Good morning. Rob at the Doctor Who show, Chibnall, he will stay for the 60th if the show's still running. I think he will. What long-term fan who finds himself in charge with the 60th in their nostrils would give it up just beforehand? Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, if the BBC have behind closed doors said, yeah, we're going to do another 4 or 5 years worth of Doctor Who anyway, then you wouldn't jump ship just before doing a big 60th anniversary. That's if they do a 60th. That's not guaranteed. They might not do a big 60th thing. Who knows? Likelihood is they'll do something, but who knows? Adam, the ultimate Whovian. Good morning, Ad. Good morning. Morning. The Who Addicts. Question for you, Gaza. Go on then. Where is your question? It's a bit off topic, but I know Geeks has said he's ready for a new Doctor. Are you ready for a change also? And if so, do you think she'll follow previous Doctors and leave in a special where we knew beforehand, or will Chibbers keep it so secretive she could go at any time when we're not expecting it? I think if they do it out of the blue and manage to keep it a secret, maybe we don't even see who the 14th Doctor is, it just ends. That could help keep the casting of a new Doc and bring back a lot. A lot of interest. Yes, I think to answer your first bit of your question, are you ready for a change? I think I am ready for a change right now, yes. I think if Jodie had said, I'm not coming back for Series 13, that would have been fine. That would have been cool. I think it's one of those situations where I'm like, I'm not looking forward to Series 13. I'm more thinking, I just want to get Series 13 out the way so I can get on to the 14th Doctor. And that sounds really, I'm aware that sounds really horrible. I'm fully aware of that. And Jodie, I know you're watching as well, and I'm truly sorry. It's nothing, like I said earlier about Chibbers, that is nothing personal against you or your acting ability or anything like that. It literally is just down to the writing and how the character has been written. So yes, I am up for the change. And I just want to get Series 13 just done and out of the way. If it turns out to be a really good series, then that's a bonus. Then great. And that's great. Chippy T, maybe only 8 episodes will make Chibbers get rid of the poorer realised ideas. Or maybe he throws everything in and confuses the hell out of everybody. Yeah, maybe he does a Moff. Maybe he does a Series 7 Moff and just has us all head scratching for ages. Who knows? Who knows? TARDISnet, I like and enjoy each and every Doctor and Jodie Whittaker's personality, characteristics and take on the role I enjoy, but she has been awfully written. But I think it's the writing and directing. Yeah, I agree, just said that. Yep. It's the writing, man. It's just not been, I wouldn't say the writing has been inconsistent like we had with Capaldi's era. I would say the writing has been consistently bad. Which is not any better, but yeah. TARDISnet, not her fault, just the content she's been given. Exactly. Doctor Who, if we ever have a secret region, it's going to be under Chibbers. Yeah, I think out of all the showrunners, if there was to be any secret stuff, he's the guy that's going to keep it under wraps the best. Yeah. What was the old co-host saying? Apparently Chibbers told Jodie the exact opposite. They both decided not to watch anything from the previous Doctors. In brackets, facepalm. Well, you can see that to a degree. You can see why, of course. You can totally see why. It's like you didn't, from an actor's point of view, developing a character, you don't want to just emulate somebody else, of course. And maybe that's the danger. Maybe he didn't want her to fall into that trap. Partway through filming episode 1, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, the last thing you want is the director or Chibbers just running on saying, cut. Jodie, what are you doing? You know, this is not the Sylvester McCoy show. This is your Doctor. So you wouldn't want that, of course. You don't want her to emulate or mimic any of the previous Doctors. Not at all. But I still think there is value in going back and studying and watching those guys and applying certain aspects of the personality of your character that aligns with those Doctors. Definitely. So yeah, real facepalm moment. Like, why did you tell her not to watch any previous Doctor Who? I don't know. Sam Parsons saying to Geeks, seriously, that is actually terrible. I know they're going for a whole new direction, but to ignore 50 years of history, that isn't cool. I'll be back in a moment, streamers. stream watchers, my door's just gone. Be right back. Apologies, guys. Right, back. So what we were saying, yeah. Maybe he didn't say ignore all of, Doctor Who and don't do anything. But, yeah. Interesting one. That's really interesting that Chibbers said to her, let's not watch any previous Doctor Who. Let's come up with your own thing. And I get that. Right. Catching up on the chat. And it's good to have you all here this morning, by the way. Once again, happy weekend and happy Saturday to all of you. Whatever you're doing, hope you got a cup of tea or some coffee, etc. Right. Lewis Blackmore would love a secret regen. That'd be so amazing. I spoke about this concept quite a few times on the podcast. And it is thus. Wouldn't it be amazing, right, to have, let's use Series 13 as an example. Wouldn't it be amazing if we knew that Jodie was leaving and we all assumed that it would happen at the end of the series or the Christmas or festive special, whatever they do after that. Because they normally do a big build up to it, don't they? It's like we know that now I've got a screwdriver I'm fiddling with. Let's put that down. Wouldn't it be cool if just halfway through Series 13, boom, just out of nowhere, she regenerates into the new actor, the new character, that's the new Doctor. That would be just amazing. That would be so good. Because literally, and if they could keep it under wraps as well, literally the entire fandom would be like, and that's exactly what you want. From Doctor Who, you want fans to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah, a secret regen would be great. And don't leave it until the end. Just throw a curveball, like a halfway or 2/3 of the way through Series 13, or in a future series, just boom, out of nowhere. New Doctor, that'd be amazing. Who Addicts, that's a good point about the 60th. We just assume it'll happen, but there's a chance it might not. If it didn't happen, that would be a worry for the show. Now, on the 60th, I think that is I'm pretty sure that they will. I'm pretty sure that they will do something, of course. But there is a small part of me that thinks that they might just do a low-key thing. We might just get a cameo in one of the episodes. Or I don't think it will be a real big thing like they did with the Day of the Doctor. That seemed like a real big event. And I honestly don't think they're going to do something that big. It will be more low-key. But there's no guarantee, like you're saying, man. There's no guarantee. We shouldn't all be really excited about what's going to happen in the upcoming 60th anniversary, because there might not be as much fireworks and ticker tape and everything that we're expecting. So, yeah. I think it's one of those times in fandom where you have to manage your expectations sensibly on that one. Yeah. Doctor Who Homer, secret regen would be cool, but I would hope to be more invested in 13 as a character if that happens. Well, let's hope they sort that in Series 13. Yeah. Sam Parsons, I think the stories in the Chibnall era are actually decent. It's just the character writing dialogue and directing that are off. Okay. Yeah. TARDISnet, not bothered about Jodie not watching about previous doctors. It should be her own doctor. If it was written better, I think the situation would be different. It all comes back to the writing, dude, every time. The Who Addicts, I think there's a fine line between not wanting to take too much from previous eras and making the show your own, and making the show so different and damn boring that it just doesn't feel fun anymore. Yeah. Doctor Who's definitely not as fun as it used to be. Even from the Russell and Steve Moffat era. It definitely doesn't feel as fun. I think it tries to be fun. It tries to inject these fun moments and stuff, but yeah, not really doing it. Right, we have 10 minutes left. We have 10 minutes left on the stream before I close it down. It's been nearly an hour and a half. I think you guys have heard me waffle for long enough. So we've got 10 minutes left. Dudes, any other questions you want to fire over? Let me know. And I will answer them. Doctor Who Home, I'd say after the 50th ratings, they'd be mad not to do a 60th. Could be the last chance for us to see some doctors back too, since Tennant, Smith and Capaldi do have to age naturally. Very true. Very true. Oh, don't get me wrong, it'd be great if they did something. I'm of the opinion they should absolutely celebrate the show that's been going this long and try and make the best of it. If it's just for the ratings alone. Co-host, I would love to see a secret regen, but is that possible in this day and age? That said, I think Chibbers could manage it. Yeah, I think they could. I think they could manage it. I think so. Tom, Chibbers come to have a word. TARDIS now, I hate the idea of a secret regen. I think it's doomed to fail. Why do you think it's doomed to fail? It's no different than what we had back in the classic years. Back in the classic years, if you were a hardcore Doctor Who fan, then of course you would know about these things. But unless you read a certain newspaper, you wouldn't know about a regeneration. Like back in the day, they'd have like a little tiny square article in the middle of loads of other articles in a newspaper that just said, the Doctor will be leaving at the end of the series to be replaced by, and that was it. So unless you read the paper or word of mouth, it was always secret. We didn't have this stuff back in the day. So yeah. The big question is, how would people feel if Jodie left and Chibnall would be staying? Secret regen sounds good, but the Doctor's last stories get so much coverage and the BBC might not want to go unnoticed. Yeah, you mean the whole fanfare around the build-up to the regen episode. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I read you. Yeah. Lewis Blackmore, you could say it's Jodie's last story, but just we don't know who her replacement is. Well, that's kind of the case now, isn't it, unofficially? Add Loki of Asgard. Low-key. Yeah, I like your play on words there, dude. Funny. It stopped being fun, Doctor. Quoting Tegan. There you go. There you go. TARDIS, I miss the fun. It's so stale and unoriginal. Sam Parsons is just, yeah. All right, well, let's not end the stream on a downer. We all know our thoughts about the shortcomings with Doctor Who at the moment. But I think we should be looking forward to Series 13. I think we should, because for a few reasons. Firstly, we've had a real decent break from Series 12. So you would think that both Chibbers and Jodie Whittaker would have some time to really sit down and chew the fat over what they want to do with the character and the show moving forward. Yes, the whole timeless child thing, which is apparently laying the groundwork for the story, the main story arc for Series 13, might not be everybody's cup of tea, but at least that's given them time, which is anyone that knows about behind the scenes of Doctor Who. It's a luxury that they don't have a lot of the time. So I think giving them that extra time to properly talk through and make some decisions about how they want to portray the Doctor in this series and that story is a good thing. And secondly, the dynamic within the TARDIS, I think, is going to be better. I think there's going to be less companions just standing around, hands in pockets. Are you all right, Doc? And that's their only contribution to the episode. I think we're going to have a lot less of that. And John Bishop's a really cool guy. Anyone that's seen any of his stand-up stuff, or if he's been on... Nat and I were watching Celebrity Great British Bake Off Stand Up to Cancer the other night, and he was on there. And he's just a real likable guy. You know, he's got one of those faces, is always smiling, and just the tone, minus the accent, just the tone and stuff. He's just got a real likable, approachable vibe about him. And I think having more time to dive into Yaz's story as well is all going to be good. And plus, it's only 8 episodes. So if we get to episode 4 and we're halfway through and we're like, this is rubbish, at least we've only got 4 to go and not 6 or 8, whatever. Yeah. So there we go. I think we should be excited and looking forward to Series 13. We should afford them the chance to give another shot, give us another shot at some decent Doctor Who. So, yeah. Last few chat questions. TARDISNet, I think it's doomed to fail. Oh no, I think it's doomed to fail because it's just bound to get leaked. So why even try? And I think it would do further damage to the publicity of the series. Oh, you mean the Secret Region stuff? I don't know, TARDISNet. I think it's how you handle it. I think it's how you handle and try and do that stuff. But I wouldn't say it's doomed to fail. Maybe it's just extremely difficult to pull off. But Chibbers is the dude. If any showrunner's going to do the secret stuff, it's going to be Chibbers. Who Addicts, where do you stand on the viewing figures argument, Gaza? Do you see a genuine decline in viewing figures? 10 mil in Series 11, Episode 1, to 3.65 mil in Series 12, Episode 10? Or is it more down to changing viewing habits? No, I think because, yes, people view TV differently now, but Line of Duty is pulling in around 10 million viewers, I know for sure, the opening episode. Right, so I don't think because what they do with Doctor Who, and I'm assuming some other, or most other TV shows, is they do 2 lots of ratings, don't they? They do, I think it's 24 or 48 hours after the show's aired, they do an initial announcement to say it got X amount of viewers. And then they do one 7 days later. And then that takes into account everybody that watched the show as it went out, plus people that watched it on BBC iPlayer and something else. So, yeah, I think even though viewing habits have clearly changed over the years and they continue to do so, I think the consolidated viewing figures after the week, they still tell a pretty telling story. So yeah, I think the viewing figures are in decline. If you look at, there was a website, wasn't there, that laid all this stuff out. I think, was it over on Doctor Who News? I think it was. Or was it? Yeah, I think there was Doctor Who News did this really good chart that gave you all of the breakdown of the viewing figures from 2005. If I can't find it on a quick Google, then I'll just leave it. But yeah, I think the Doctor Who News. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh, that's Classic Who. Right, okay. I read you. That's Classic Who. Oh no, it goes up to 2021. Oh, right, that's the number of EPs and stuff. Anyway, I'll stick a link on Twitter about that. There's a really good bar graph that shows you the ups and downs and the steady decline of the viewing figures and whatnot. But yeah, so yes, what was I saying? I was saying the viewing figures, to answer the Who Addicts question. Sorry, right. Yes, there is a genuine decline in the viewing figures. You cannot argue that. So the peak in modern Doctor Who was up there with David Tennant's era. So series 3 and 4 and the specials, that was when you had really consistent, really high viewing figures. We're talking like 7 to 10 million viewing figures. And then you can see it. You can see it go down and down and down. And I don't think that's a reflection on viewing habits, because back when David Tennant was the Doctor and we had those really big spikes because it was so popular with him as the Doctor and the show in general, even back then we had BBC iPlayer, we had people watching recorded stuff on Sky Plus and that kind of thing, as well as going out live on the Beeb and all that stuff. So although viewing habits have changed a little bit, but I think that's more about how you consume television overall in general. So I think that's more the introduction of more streaming services and stuff. So I don't think it affects the overall viewing figures a great deal because I do the consolidated one. But yeah, definitely a decline. Geeks Handbag, Pating for the 60th. The Pating for the 60th, piss off. The Pating. Doctor Home, third time lucky. Yeah, third time lucky, there is that to consider. Sam Parsons, I don't know whether Series 13 will be good. I mean, it could be, the actors are good, but if the character writing is as bad as it has been, then I really don't see it improving. Well, that's what I mean, Sam. They've got this time to examine what's worked, and I'm hoping they've done this anyway. They've had time to go back and really deep dive into what's worked, what they feel hasn't worked, fandom's reaction, critical reviews, all that stuff, and try and weave together a bit more of a coherent path for the writing. So hopefully that's been done. Geeks Handbag, last week's Line of Duty. Do you know what? I'm going to ask Nat to watch Call of Duty later, start watching it, because everybody raves about it, but we haven't seen one. So that could be our new thing to watch. Sam Parsons, we love the mighty Pating. No, you don't. No, you don't. TARDISNet, team up with the Pating and Benny. You guys are taking the beep now. You're taking the beep. My tea's gone cold. Roll on 2023, says Tom Shaw. Yeah. Roll on. Who Addicts, Line of Duty is the best. Yeah, we hear that all the time, man. Everybody's like, yeah, you should watch it. You should watch it. So I think it's on something. BritBox or Netflix, one of the two. All of them are on there. I think there's like 7 or 8 series, right? So I have to go and dive in and do that. Sam Parsons, Pating versus Benny would be an amazing standoff. Who would win? Well, Benny would win. Could you send me a link to that site, Gaz? Comes in handy for future vids. Yes, Who Addicts, I will do that. The Geeks Handbag. Plus, Line of Duty has strong female leads who deliver amazing performances week after week. I get the buzz for it that I used to get from Doctor Who. Okay. Sam Parsons, I've got a Reddit post link to the graph. Can I send it? Yeah, Sam. Sam, stick that in Twitter and at us and the Who Addicts. If you wouldn't mind, that'd be awesome. Thank you. The Who Addicts, I'd have Vicky McClure, or Kelly, what's her face, who plays Jo Davidson, as female Doctor any day. They'd both be amazing. That's interesting, Who Addicts, because the woman that plays Davidson, the Scottish lady, what's her name? We spoke about her on last week's podcast. She's one of the most recent names that got dropped into the hat with the bookies at the minute to replace the Doctor, to replace Jodie. So that's interesting you mentioned that. Tom Shaw, has anyone seen Keeping Faith? I have not seen Keeping Faith. I've not even heard of that. What is that about? Tweet me. I'm going to close the stream in a second, but tweet me. Yeah. Right. I'm going to hang around for a few more minutes and drink my cold tea. My tea. I hate drinking cold tea. That's one of the worst things. Any tea drinkers, you'll know what I'm saying. Drinking cold tea, not good. Who Addicts? Gary, watch Line of Duty, please. Do it. Do you know what? It's weird because Nat and I, we watch a program called Gogglebox here in the UK, and we've probably spoiled it for ourselves because those guys, they all love watching Line of Duty. And every time that we watch it, we're like, should we give that a go? I don't know. Should we give it a go? But I'll see if we can do it. Yeah. Bloody love Keeping Faith. Eve Miles, what an actress. Oh, is it the one with Eve Miles with blonde hair? If so, I think I have heard of it, yeah. Lewis Blackmore, thanks for an awesome stream. As always, you're very welcome, Lewis. Thank you for joining. The Geek's Handbag, is there any ep of Classic Who Nat likes? Is there any Classic Who episode that Nat likes? No, I don't think so. I think Nat is very... She just cannot get into Classic Who. She finds it funny more than anything. The the cliches around Classic Who, around zero budget, wobbly sets and all that stuff. It's those things that make her laugh. So she can't take it seriously at all. So it's not that she dislikes it and that she's, she doesn't appreciate Classic Who for what it is, but she just can't get into it. She just can't get past that humorous front of the low budget feel and all that stuff. Doctor Who home drinking cold tea. Nobody's forcing you to drink cold tea. I know. You've not twisted my arm up my back and said, Gary, drink the tea. It's just annoying. Anyone that drinks tea will know that. When you've made a cup of tea and then you're doing something else, maybe you're working or you're watching something, then you remember you've made a cup of tea, you go down, you drink it, it's cold. That's annoying. Yeah, that is annoying. The Who Addicts, that was Liv. Liv watches Keeping Faith, I assume. Okay, cool. There's nothing worse than forgetting about your cuppa and having to drink a cold one. Gaz, thoughts are with you. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly that. Nobody's forcing you. Yeah, Dogs Who Home. I know. Tom Shaw imagining Eve as the Doctor. Do you know what? I don't think anyone's ever said about Eve Miles being the Doctor. Of course it would be. I don't think it would, for obvious reasons it would happen. I think the times in the past where we've seen supporting actors from previous episodes pop up in bigger roles like Peter Capaldi, etc. I think that's okay, but for someone so prominent within the world of Doctor Who and Torchwood, it's just never been brought up, but yeah, it's interesting. I'd love to see Nat's reaction to Alpha Centauri. Yeah, or reaction to Candyman. Yeah. Or Delta and the Bannerman. Yeah, all that stuff. Every time that I've watched all of that and she's come in to ask if I want a cuppa or what's going on, she's just looked at the TV, she's watched it for like 5 seconds and she's just pissed herself laughing and walked out. It's just, yeah. Worse for Doctor Who Home, worse for me was watching Mind Warp and the whole fam walking in just as Brian Blessed was doing his thing. Yeah, if only Jodie had researched and watched all these things, eh? Gary and Nat go behind the sofa. Yeah. See, I thought about that in the past because Nat is so averse to Classic Who from an enjoyment perspective. I've had that thought in the past where I could do a live blog or a YouTube channel or something about me watching Classic Who with Nat and my reaction of enjoyment most of the time of watching it and her reaction of just, whatever. But I would just be ripping off Neil Perryman because he did all that with his missus. Those of you that have not read Neil Perryman's book, it's called, one second. Anyone that's not read this book, it's called... Is my camera flipped? If the text is flipped, and I apologise, but maybe I can fix that. 1 second. Is that better? So anyone that's read Neil Perryman, Adventures with the Wife in Space, Living with Doctor Who. Neil is really good. He's such a cool guy, Neil. And it's really funny. His wife, Sue, I think she's in a similar position to Nat in terms of views on Classic Who. But it's really, really funny. Basically, he makes her watch every episode of Classic Who, and it's about her reactions to it and so on. It's very funny. But I had that thought, and then I thought, well, no, I'm just going to be ripping off this guy's stuff. It's almost the same thing. And incidentally, anyone that's listens to the podcast and have not listened to I think it's episode 1 or 2, way back in 2014, Neil was actually our first guest, and he talks about the book, talks about his wife Sue and all that stuff. It's a really good listen, actually. It's my first interview with Neil. So go and check it out. Some classic Big Blue Box. Right, I'm going to wrap the stream. I'm 10 minutes over what I said I was going to do. I feel that way about Paradise Towers. Delta and Abandonment. So Sam says Delta and Abandonment is one of my personal faves. I don't know why, I just love it. And then adds like, yeah, I feel the same way about Paradise Towers. Yep. Watching Liv watch the modern era was brilliant. Seeing her go from crying to the end of Dalek to raging and almost quitting after Let's Kill Hitler. Yep. I can imagine that of Liv, actually, yeah. Give us that season 24 Blu-ray, BBC. Yeah, do it. And then Sam, I love early McCoy. It's so inherently terrible, yet incredibly enjoyable. I wouldn't say it's terrible. It's questionable in some places, but it's definitely enjoyable. Maria, thanks for live stream. Great chat, Gary, and everyone. See you later. Yeah, see you, Maria. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. Tom Shaw, have a nice day. Geeks Handbag, great stream, bud. See you next week for the Melkor, indeed. Right, I'm going to close it down, guys. As always, I've been Gary from the Big Blue Box podcast. We have a podcast that goes out every single Friday. Remember to follow and listen for free on whatever podcast app you get your podcasts on. Just do a search for the Big Blue Box, or we have a link to all the podcast apps on the website, which is bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous shows on there. Plus, you can read all of the cool reviews and articles from people like Maria and Mark and Jordan. So go and check that out. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Go and check those out. There are links on the website, or do a search for us as always. We have a free Discord server. Again, link on the website. Go and register and hang out and chat Doctor Who with lots of other like-minded Doctor Who fans. And obviously, as you're watching this on YouTube, remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you get updates about future live streams. I try to schedule them so you know when they're coming up, but they're typically on a Saturday morning at the moment. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Have a great Saturday, whatever you're up to. If you manage to get out and about at the moment, that's great. Go and enjoy yourselves, but stay safe. And I will see you next time. Alonzi.